delving into the depths of soil biology. Oh, yummy, yummy. My kind of topic, Andy.
We're going to be cooking today.
Okay, and who are we cooking today?
Who are we cooking today? That's awful, man. That's really awful. But listen, one of the things I'm doing, I just moved to this place here, and I've been shooting some videos of starting a garden. Remember, we talked a little bit about what you should be doing, and so it's been a very, very interesting process for me to turn something around. I would say within a month when I decided to do a garden, because this is first in March, so February, the beginning of February, my birthday. I say on my birthday, which is February 1st, that's when I actually broke ground. That's when I started trying to grow a garden. So it's been less than a month, and you should see things I'm doing today and yesterday. When it rains, I catch the rainwater and I make a tea out of it. And I make a tea out of the local whatever's growing. I make a tea out of that, and then I add my microbes to it, and then I pour it back around the ground. So I've had all kinds of dandelions, things you might call weeds, grasses, whatever it's growing there. I don't pull it and take them away. I pull it and put it into my rain buckets.
Right.
All my different, with all the different. So I take the microbes out of the worm bin, and then I have a big worm bin and a small worm bin, because when I moved, you can't really do a big giant worm bin in your garage. I lived in a condo, and I was seriously thinking of moving my worm farm into the back of the garage, hiding it under the shelves there somewhere. The worms wouldn't care; it'd be real nice. But if they ever found out, they would just kick me out, because you're not allowed to have. They would not go for that. I tried to do that in another condo. I did it on the porch, and it doesn't smell, no odor, or nothing. But if you and I did have an accident. It leaked down it overflowed my pan, because I have an oil pan that I used to catch
the leachate.
The leachate, exactly right. And so it stained. It really stained, made a really bad stain in the back cement. And that's what I'm doing now with it. I'm actually spraying it on too. So I have one container. It's really, really very cool. It's a citronella. So it's a citronella plant. So I have a customer that I planted citronella. I've been there since 1984, and so I was going there once a month. I did that for maybe 5 years, and the lady says, "Can you just come every week?" and so I've been going there once a week since '84, and so what she had like all the people that I've ever encountered, I would call it a no soil problem. If you just know
no soil problem, as in they don't have any organic material in their soil. I know. Is that
yeah. So the terminology soil there could be soil out there, but definitely no organic material. And to me, soil to me, soil means soil. It has organic material, has everything needed for the biology.
Yeah, something
that's not soil would not have the organic material, would have no biology, so I don't consider it soil.
Yeah.
Maybe it's dirt, right? But it's not soil. But I have talked to other people who say, yeah, soil is soil. You should have to say live soil, that's soil. I said, okay, yeah. I'll go with that. So basically we have to deal with live living soil. And anyway, so in the beginning, this place I went to in '84, they have usually an indicator that you have a no soil problem is that you have a massive ant problem. You have a major ant infestation. The earth is wiggling and moving. You throw something down, the ants come and grab it. Hey, diggly dag, how you doing, man? And so, because the soil, the biology in the soil also controls the ant population or any other creature that's living in the soil. It forces them to behave and to be in certain levels. It doesn't get rid of all the ants or all the other creatures that live there. They have a right to be there too. But when they get out of hands because of normal boundaries, normal barriers, the normal, like the speed limit, the normal police cops are the biology.
Yep.
See, right? To stop them from just going nuts. When you see ants crawling everywhere and everything's moving, you know that there's not a single worm in the crowd there, right? Right? You know
Yeah.
that, and you know that the biology is pretty much gone too. I mean, I don't know if they actually die and disappear, or maybe they go into some kind of dormant state where they're just not there until the environment is right to come back. That's a good question. You're welcome to.
But a little of both, actually, Andy, depending on if they have enough time to go into that stasis or not. But they're going to be there. There isn't an environment for them to be active in doing their job.
That's what I figured too, to a big degree too. Even though I have my suspicion that the biology can only stay in that dormant state for a certain length of time before they are not able to come back. That's what I think. There could be it could be certain factors that definitely freezes them, defreezes them, or causes them to survive for a long time. Certain conditions like that. There's also conditions that can destroy them. Generally speaking, these conditions are toxic. So if you're using chemicals on your property, you're going to kill the biology, and there's no dormant state they're going to be in to survive that. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. It's that the toxic chemicals, it's pesticides and herbicides that people are putting on that are killing them even in their stasis form, because it's eating in through that and destroying the biology. And that's where, putting the biology back into the system is so important, and then not killing it.
So you just mentioned, what did you say? Pesticides or fertilizers, stuff like that,
herbicides,
right?
Pesticides, herbicides.
Right. Well, think about city water.
Yeah. The chlorine and the chloramine.
It's a constant. They just can't really survive. I don't think they survive. I mean, I think they get killed and they die and they're gone. Their little bodies break up into whatever things is there, and they're not there. So it's a big difference between bringing a soil back to life, which basically means, okay, so there's some things that it's missing, but everybody's there. You just have to say, hey, good times are back. Maybe provide a better
party time. Come on, let's go.
Provide a better environment. Usually it has to do with more organic material, humus, all the essentials that normally goes into it's how soil is made. One of the keys to having one of the keys to soil biology is to understand that something has to constantly be replenishing it. It has to be replenished constantly all the time. Mother Nature has this constant thing. That's why it's not cycle. That's why it doesn't say winter, spring, summer, fall, and that's the end. No, it says winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter, spring, summer, fall. It's a cycle that's constantly going around the circle. That's why the weather and the whole seasons has to really do with recycling everything and starting over again, recycling everything. See, right? And so, and in our gardens, we want to imitate that very same process of constantly recycling everything that goes through. One of the things I'm doing in my garden, for example, so I have a friend that come over. I have several different people come over because a lot of times they help me with the garden, and I kind of I'm not giving classes, but I'm kind of I tell them stuff.
Sharing?
Okay? Yeah. So one of the things that the guys they're doing is that I'm showing them how to, like the citronella, because one of the things you do is you plant Victor what was that? Silly, what is that?
Ward 1 compost is actually Victor.
Oh, really? And the Victor is?
I just met Leighton Morrison while having dinner. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah, he said he would take me out to dinner. He asked, I'm still waiting. Hey, Leighton, you're watching this. I'm still waiting, man.
Okay. I found this on the web for take me out to dinner. I'm still waiting.
Well, I think somebody's talking to you, okay, in the background there, Siri, go away.
Did I mention your name, Siri? Did I say, hey, Siri? I said, hey, Leighton. Does it even sound like Siri's? Go to sleep. Rest. That's it. It's okay. Lie down. That's good girl. Oh, gee. Did Leighton ever tell you how we met?
You guys were walking on the beach, if I remember right.
Well, no. Layton moved into right close to where I live. I mean,
Right.
so and then the rumor got he went around looking for work because what he does is very kind of similar to me, except it's done in a slightly different way.
Hmm.
And he gets referred back to me. So eventually he had to meet me, and that's how I met him. And I really love his on system on wheels that he has. And I've never met anybody that had even close to what I've been doing. So I was a really good start. And from there, of course, he introduced me to all you other people. And I
Yep.
never even dreamed I would be on a show called It's About the Biology, because that's what I've been talking about. I should have come up with this. But it's such a clever way of saying it, right? Because I've always talked about it's alive, the
Yeah.
microbes and all this stuff. But I was that close to saying it's about the biology, right? Just that close. But it's actually very, very good, very well. You should
Yeah.
probably copyright it or something, or trademark or something, right?
Yeah. I think I'll have to do that just so that Andy Lopez doesn't grab it and run away with it.
I'm using it already. I've been using it for a long time. I just feel that I can't. I talk about soil biology all the time. Now it's more natural me to say soil biology. I also talk about microbes. Because microbes, soil biology is more than just the microbes.
Oh yeah, big time.
Bacteria, all kinds of other trillions and trillions of types of creatures, which makes a lot more sense because I've been saying microbes.
Yeah.
What I mean? As if that meant the soil biology, when in reality, it's just one small part of the whole picture of the biology system that's down there.
Well, because you've got biology that lives in the air, you've got biology that lives in the water, you've got biology that lives in the soil, and then you've got the biology that lives in the plants, the animals, us, and it's all the same biology, and it's all interconnected.
And what you have, like you said, you have to understand that it's the interconnectivity that's really key to everything. Because you'll find that people with the wrong type of energy, their consciousness is somewhere else, are not going to be very good at connecting with any of this stuff in their garden. Their garden will reflect exactly where their headspace is at. So this guy's really like, it's doing drugs and out there and doesn't know anything, like a zombie. Well, his garden is going to be the same way.
Yeah,
and
his life is.
And everything around it will reflect that. So you don't even have to. When I started doing house calls for people, I started to realize before I even knocked on the door, when I walked up to the door, I looked around and I could tell the kind of people that will come to the door just by the looking at the property, looking at the tree, or the tree will go, come here. Hey, you, come here. I got
Hey man, you don't like these people. They're no good, man. They use those chemicals.
Yeah. So it's like you would definitely know. I went to one place, and it looked like very strange. I'm looking around. It was like I'm looking. I didn't see not one single ant. As a matter of fact, the ants were walking on the sidewalk, and they would just turn around, go back the other way. They wouldn't even go across the front of it. It was just stop there, and I'm going. I think I would probably just turn around and go home now. And sure enough, the guy opened the door. He's like, "Can I help you?" Yeah, it's like, we have an ant problem. I said, "Yeah, you have an ant problem." You
got no ants.
In those days, I didn't really have it together to say, "Yeah, you have a soil problem, lady." You know what I mean? But I would say, yeah, you do have an ant problem because the ants are going nuts, and there's many things you're doing wrong, and you're going to have to. You don't have any soil. You literally didn't have any soil. There was just basically. Why does Andy and Kevin remind me of Cheech and Chong? Because who do I remind you of Chong, right? You're Cheech Chong. It has to be. I don't think I'm. No, I could be Cheech, right? I'm Spanish, right? We're both right.
I'm not gonna touch it, Andy, because I don't think we should.
Anyway.
I think Silly Lily's just being silly again.
So what I've learned. So what I was doing, talking about the ants thing, is that I'm moving into this place here. Yeah, it's in a lot better shape than most places, and that nothing was really being used, chemical stuff like that. There are some sections that is really, really super dead. It was basically a little road that they put. It had artificial grass. It had a artificial lawn in the back, which I had to pull out. Right underneath there was absolutely nothing, very barren soil, no real worms. But there are some other sections on the property, as I mentioned to you about on the cross here on the street. There's a little island, and that island is just rich with mycorrhiza. When I planted stuff, I would dig in and go, oh, look at the little lines, and they always stop what they're doing, wave at me, hey, everybody, hey, oh, look, there's Andy, the human being out there. I would wave at back. I go, wow, and I try to take a picture of it. It doesn't really come across. I have to do a video. It's hard to do both, but I'm going, and in the back here, because it's right next to a forest, there are some really amazing areas that if you just dig down a little bit, you're going to find all kinds of amazing biology going on there.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing is I'm taking the biology from around, making a tea, and pouring it back into the biology into the yard. I'm also taking from a couple of different places and starting some biology, and moving from one place to moving to the other place. But you can't just move because they will die, because it doesn't have any soil structure there. The sand, what's there now is much like, it's basically, think of it as gravel, little pebbles, and with a construction sand.
Yeah. And you need to stitch that sand together. So you need to produce a lot of biofilm to be able to take that sand and make it into soil. You have to stitch it and glue it together.
Right. So I have to start. So I'm bringing in. So one of the things I did is I started planting. I say, okay, I'm just going to start planting because it drains really well. So what's interesting too about that is because I'm digging a little trench around the property for gophers. I went down maybe 2 feet, right? 18 inches, 2 feet. Right directly under there is this rich, dark loam soil. So in 1947, when they did the little road back there, all they did was scraped a little bit of the top, throw some construction sand down, pat it all down for their road. So it's like only less than 2 feet of this construction sand. So when I'm digging down, I'm actually pulling up, and I'm going to go down probably 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, dig a little burial mound kind of thing, take everything out, put rocks down, put rocks in the very bottom. I don't have to worry about gophers anymore. Then I pile everything back together again, make a little pile, make a raised bed out of it. So because the construction sand is perfect to blend in with the soil that's there. So it won't get so compact. At the same time, I'm introducing a really, really cool, amazing blend of different kinds of microbial life, as well as mycorrhiza life, endonectal mycorrhiza, different kinds of bacteria. As I mentioned in my last show, there are some. One of the things I didn't, and I apologize. I apologize to you guys. Last week I did resources, and I believe. So you have to excuse me. I'm 125 years old. I keep forgetting things. I don't remember. I don't remember my name. It's either Bob, George, or Louis. That's as close as I got it down to. I think I'm leaning towards Louis. But so what was I talking about? Okay, no. What was I talking about?
You're talking about having that book on your website in PDF form for me to go and download it, I think.
Oh, that's the other thing too. No, I want to thank everybody because I've gotten quite a few people who said, okay, I watched the show. Give me the money. Send me the PDF file. And I click on the little, and so you do the inquiry form, guys, because if you should send email to my email address, I will not get it. I looked at 39,000 something emails. I'm going, for crying out loud. The last time this happened.
I don't know what's going on with that girl in the background, Andy. She wants you bad. She's listening to everything you say and recording it besides,
She is something else. I was talking about something. Let's see. Hamburgers, no. French fries, Louis.
The book and getting it out and then
Oh,
using the
yeah.
inquiry form, not your normal email.
This last time this happened to me was when they sell this. The problem, you have a website.
Yeah.
You put the email up on the website, and if you become famous like I have been, you get a lot of people go to the website, but you also get the bad guys, the robots, take your email, and then they sell it.
Yeah.
So my email got sold on to the black market for the weirdest variety of things. I hope I'm not going to offend anybody who's watching, but I got 20 penis enlargement emails the other day, just 20 of them, just in one day within the short period. I get tons of same thing with calls. I think maybe they think because I'm getting old, everything's falling apart. But not only that, I mean, I get so much spam that it's absolutely ridiculous. So I used to be Andy at invisiblegardener.com. I don't mind mentioning it. That name is totally gone. I cannot use it because it's so much spam. So I have the other one now, which is basically, I think it got sold because now, yesterday, 38,000 something emails came to that email. So the only reason why I get your email is because it goes into it's a biology box. So if I get an email once, I like it, I make a special box that goes to that box. Otherwise, I got to look through all of them. So if you guys say, "Oh, I'm going to be smart, I'm just going to send Andy email at the address," you'll figure it out because there's no way you can get that email. There's no, if you get that email, that means that's the wrong email you have, and you're going to send it, and I'm not going to even know you got it.
Okay, so use the inquiry form, guys.
Yeah, use the inquiry form, and you'll be much better off for it. But so one of the things I have. Well, we got time. Okay, good. So I have a list of things that I want to cover. I haven't made the 10 next issues that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week, even though before the show is over, Kent's going to come up with one. I know you are, buddy. I know you are. Yeah. Or even anybody in the comment section the chat section can send me a little suggestion. But I have a bunch of them that I would just spit out. And what I do is I tell ChatGPT, give me 10 things I can talk about, and eventually I'll figure out which ones I want to talk about. That's why I'm open to people talking to me. So, but anyway, what I'm talking about is that with the ant thing. So what I did was I started growing citronella plants.
Right.
Now, if you know anything about citronella,
mosquitoes up here.
Exactly right. If you know anything about citronella oil, you can use it on mosquito. You can use it to all kinds of other insects and on ants as well, soft-bodied insects. So right now I have about 5 gallons of rainwater soaking in citronella plants because I transplanted a whole bunch over from my customer to my house. I took a whole bunch of the leaves off. They're going to dry up anyway. So I put them in the water. They're going to sit there for a few days. And then what I do now is I have it's a little brass unit. I think it's a siphon unit. The little brass unit that goes on the bib, the hose goes on the bib. It's got a little line coming out of the brass unit. You stick it in the bucket. And so when you turn on the water, it siphons out stuff out of the bucket. You can just spray it. So that's what I do to spray the biology because it's not going to hurt going out to the little siphon unit. And then I spray the property with this liquid, right? Because it siphons the liquid out when I water it. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is, and then I'm in the process of getting some steer manure because I want to have in the biology. It's very important to have some source of animal manure because that's where you get the specific types of biology that are really, really very good for the tasks that we have here. Mother Nature has made it a recipe, a little dash of minerals, a little dash of carbon, and animal poop. Oh, where can we get animal poop from, right? Mother Nature has the animal. I don't mean animal, I mean poop because you have bird poop, right? You have insect poop, you have animal poop, you have plant poop, right? So it's just poop. And the poop happens to be the biology that's needed in the soil. There's no way you can get around it. I love it when you see compost that does not have any animal manure in it. Well, it does not have the right biology in it.
Yeah.
That we need. So they may have to, it may be good soil, it may have been done properly in the sense it has a lot of stuff in there. But if it doesn't have that specific type of microbes, you're not going to get the best benefit out of it. Because
Well, you gotta, Andy, think about it this way, my friend, is if you need an iron miner or a gold miner, those are two specific, jobs, and it's the iron miner that's needed for iron. If you don't have any of those workers, you're not going to get any iron.
That's exactly it. And so, and Mother Nature has, in her gentle kindness or whatever you want to call it, say, okay, there's certain ways I'm going to get the soil thing going, and we're going to make everybody poop, and the poop is going to get recycled back into to the biology, and then we're going to make trace minerals available throughout the earth, and transfer it from volcanoes to. I'm going to send meteorites crashing on the planet everywhere, bringing water, minerals, and then water was meant to carry and dissolve stuff and transfer around. The wind is meant to carry. The Mother Nature has this amazing recycling thing that you just. I was watching one of my favorite shows to watch is called Circle of Iron. It's done by what's his name? Oh my God! Enter the Dragon.
Oh, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, right? Bruce Lee wrote it along with David Carradine, and it was done by about 11 different Buddha karate masters from around the world. And one of the things that he was talking about is that you can't step on water twice. You can't step on the same water twice. And to me, that's Mother Nature, because she has. Even the air you breathe is not the same twice. Everything's, even our bodies, instantly, constantly changing all the time. But Mother Nature is doing this thing right in front of us. Everything's constantly changing, being recycled and made cleaner. Yeah. It's unfortunate that we recycle and make it dirtier, and the dirtier that we do, the things that we make dirty are the things that Mother Nature is going to take a lot more work to clean up than normal. Like this whole thing with plastic. Yeah, don't be a moron. Remember to maintain the balance. Who said that?
Well, the "don't be a moron" came from Leighton Morrison, and I put in "remember to maintain the balance," because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about things getting out of balance and not being able to break down all that material. And in your situation in Malibu, where you're dealing with homeowners that are taking all of it away, there's nothing there for them to break down, so they can't exist there.
I find it amazing that, and I do know a lot of my customers are still in the process of a feather starts to fall from the tree, and you see that everybody sort of slow motion before it hits the ground. And it goes, right, exactly right. And if their gardeners are trained to no, it's like, and then when I tell them, they say, "What are you doing?" I says, "Well, I'm not throwing anything away." Like this one lady I've been going to since '84. Like this guy is really the gardener. It's just the guy she hired because I do gardening really well. So a lot of times I would pull the weed, turn it over, leave it there. You go right behind me, pick it up, and throw it in a trash can, and then haul it away. I said, "I'm leaving it there for a purpose." He said, "It's no good. You can't leave it there." I said, "Why not?" "Well, it's bad. It looks bad." "Well, give it a few days and it'll be gone. It'll be like back to earth again." Well, that's what he wants. I told him it was food for the soil. He's going, "What are you crazy? Miss Jean, he's crazy again. He's talking crazy shit again." So, and it's a regular. I'm actually. I think Let's do that for our next show.
Okay.
In terms of, let's maybe ask a question, or should be an answer about why are we throwing so much stuff away? I mean, it's really weird in terms of we just clean it up and just throw it away, and yet that's exactly what we should do. We can clean it up, run it through a shredder, and put it back again.
Yeah. And very easily, and it's the smaller the particles, the easier it is for the biology to break it back down into usable materials. Now, Victor says, "Andy, how did the rain treat you over there?"
Mother Nature and I get along really well. The rain goes right around me. The wind, the fires go right around me. This is a very magical place here. I have all the natural spirits and elemental beings all are having a party now. There's just
And the ants. Don't forget the ants.
and the ants are here, and all kinds of creatures are here. So I actually live on a kind of like a mountaintop. Everything flows away from here. There are other people not so fortunate, and in parts of Malibu they tend to slide much just to move this. So, and there's been more rain here than ever before. I love it because I got buckets. I'm trying to get the city to give me more rain barrels. I want like 100 rain barrels or some shit like that so I can catch the rain. And the rainwater is so pure because that's one of the. It comes with microbes already. You look at the rainwater, you're going to see tons of microbes in there, and those are the microbes we want to encourage to stick around our property more often. And so I'm making ways to make sure that the rain stays on my property. There's a lot of different teas to do, and the rain has been very hard on work. You can't work in the rain, so fortunately, I'm a millionaire. I don't need money. I'm a male stripper, so I still got a couple of things going, a couple of moves going to make.
That's why they're sending you those penis enlargement.
Yeah, that may be it. That may be it. I may have to take my phone number off my dance cards.
So, Andy, do you know much about the biology that breaks down plastics? Like Mother Nature adapts, there is a biology that breaks down plastic. Did it exist before plastic, or did it develop to deal with the plastic? Yeah, do you have an answer for that one?
Mother Nature has all kinds of bacteria that can handle all kinds of things, and plastic is nothing. So it's like radioactivity. There's nothing. It's nothing to them. And so the main issue is that these are things that are not normally found in nature, and Mother Nature will take care of it. But what we're doing is we're deliberately killing Mother Nature so that she can't really take care of it, right? So you don't have the biology will. Their biology's what they're talking about is different. This is specific microbes that live at the base of the volcano in Hawaii, underneath the ocean, and it's like thousands of degrees. There's some stuff down there, and this is where they live. And so they're found down there, and scientists have known that they can go through radiation, they go through plastic, right? And so what they're trying to do is help them duplicate them in other parts of the world, so they can maybe try to grow more of them. But you see, the conditions that they really like is that in the ocean, right next to the volcano lava. Like, you're kidding me, right? That's
now,
extreme.
there is something else to consider, Andy. If we develop a biology that eats plastic, we're in trouble because everything around us is plastic.
That's
Ever
right.
Consider that.
That's right. So there are a little more, but this is a normal. It's already in the ocean. You're not really creating anything new. The trick would be to be able to learn how to deal with that. Because if you start creating more of that, then everything that's made of plastic will get eaten up. And I would say, well, what's to stop it from eating anything else too? Why not other metals? Why not people? Why not? So you have to sort of like just relax a little bit and not worry about that. The main thing you really have to do is on your as an individual, as a one person, as a single person. I've always started right from the experience. What is it that I can do? So for me, it's always been, I'm the guy in the corner with the sign, the end is near, right? The end is near. And then I would flip it over, it's too late, that kind of stuff. I'm the guy that would try to get attention of people and say, you individually, we have the power. Individually, we can make the changes. And these changes, I started yelling in 1970 about climate change. I'm going, holy cow! I'm still yelling about nuclear power plants. Did you know you can have a nuclear power plant made out of thorium? It's called thorium, named after the god of Thor. It's not radioactive. It's not pollute any kind of radioactive, fallout or anything like that. That's not pollute the environment. There's two places already. Russia and India will have 2 nuclear power plants made for thorium. The rest of the world says no. And the reason why is because they use the radioactive waste for nuclear weapons. Duh!
Well, and there's also another one that I was watching a show on where they're actually taking the nuclear waste. It's a different method of a reaction, but they can reuse the nuclear waste that's already there as the fuel source and then clean it and reuse it and clean it and reuse it. So they can actually literally get rid of that down to a level where it'll break down in years instead of thousands of years.
Right, and I was reading about this new technology that they're doing. Basically, a nuclear power plant's the size of a truck, and that it will it can recycle all the energy, no nuclear waste. So I have no problem with clean sources of energy. Just the current one is not very good. You can say nuclear power is clean, but as long as you ignore the nuclear waste, and so that's not a good idea. So but going back to biology, I made a little list, and it just covers the things that we talk about. We want to buy more roots. That's obvious. We want to grow more things in the ground as soon as possible, and don't pull things up because they want to grow and you don't want to grow. Let them grow because the more roots are better, and so you can use them to help you with your soil. At the same time, you want to increase your biology. The biology is not just it's just roots. You also want to increase the biology in the water, the biology you normally get in the air, the biology you would normally have there, which basically means some type of animal manure will be really cool because that's whether it be birds, insects, the more different type of biology, the better, rather than having just one particular type of
diversity.
Right. Yeah. So diversity of biology is very, very important. So you want to set up a system in your garden that basically it's open to every creature. Even when you see snails, you're like, oh my God, snails, you're gonna say, cool, snails, hey buddy, what you doing? And they have a right to be there, just like ants and other creatures. While work is that the biology will balance itself out. The snails, where is it? I read articles where they're saying that all is renewable resources. Oil is a renewable resource. Well, that'd be cool. That's interesting if they can break it down, even though I would think that the microbes can break down oil. I know. I told you guys about this product I'm using called AgriGrow that they ship to Kuwait to eat up the oil. They just dumped it and they went through the oil. So it does. The biology can be used to oil, and also, like I said, the radiation, lots of different things. So we have a powerful tool here that can actually save the world in the long run because it's the biology that causes the world to be here in the first place. So it's kind of interesting that the biology can actually be used to clean up the mess, and it's the biology that got us here in the first place in terms of having living organisms. So that's important to me. And so you want to have clean water. So when we talk about clean water, we definitely want to get a filtration system. You cannot use the city water and expect your soil to survive. As a matter of fact, do you drink your city water? Do you know anybody drinking city water? I would say no.
I know lots of people that drink city water. I'm not one of them, though. That's for sure.
And it's unfortunate because the city water, they knew there was not just clean water in there, and they'll tell you, well, fluoride is good. It's in the water. It's there to kill the cavities, and it's fine. But what it does is that it destroys your biology, your bioline in your stomach. That's what it destroys. I was talking to a doctor the other day, and he says mouthwash. It's the worst thing on the planet. Okay. I think water is a renewable resource as well. Water is a renewable resource, of course. Why shouldn't it be?
Well, and there's also something that Leighton Morrison sent me an article on what's called they're calling, I believe it's dark water. So in your aquifers, 1,000 feet down, they didn't believe that any aerobic biology could survive down there. What they found, and this was studies done in Alberta here, where I'm from, that when they brought that water up, there was aerobic biology that existed down there making oxygen down that deep so other aerobic biology could survive down there. And they're calling it dark water. It's basically the same kind of water that's on the surface. Nobody ever figured that was possible.
You'd be surprised how amazing the Mother Nature has it down to the biology.
Oh yeah.
You'd be surprised. They're finding lots of places that they didn't think anything would be alive, and sure enough, there they are. There are lots
Yep.
of places. Lots of
Like
places.
those volcanoes under the ocean, right?
Right, that's the places in Russia when they're doing this drilling. All of a sudden, hey, we just came out upon an underwater lake, an underwater giant cave that hasn't been seen the light of day in trillions of years, whatever.
Biology's tough, Andy. Just look at what they did on the International Space Station, where they put it on the outside of the window and then brought it in several months later, and it was viable biology.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So it's not. So it goes back to all we really have to do is learn a few basics. One of the most obvious, right, is to pay attention to the biology. And the biology will tell you, if your body starts to feel bad, you're gonna go, I need to do something about it. You know, and usually by the time you're feeling your body bad, it's too a little too late. So you want to pay attention beforehand. So in the garden, it teaches you to set things up. It teaches you how to the value of a seed, and that's one of the things about. By the way, you want to make sure when you're growing stuff in your garden, you're not using chemically grown seeds. You want to use genetically organic heirloom seeds. A lot of times you get it right from your own country, from your own backyard, from people. And if you join a garden club, they'll give you. You can trade seeds, but that's very important too, because you can't really grow good stuff out of bad seeds. You can't do that. As you know, that same thing with what plants. You have to have the right seeds to really. I could, I'm a good grower, and a lot of times I would say, I can turn really bad seeds into really good stuff. No. And I've done it before. Some really bad seeds and some of my own really good seeds, and they both the difference in night and day, and that's important too for the soil as well, because if you're growing in really soil that's just barely alive, your plants will be barely alive as well. Oh, by the way, mushroom compost is one of the best around, because Dr. Drip says mushroom compost mixed wood chips, right? Yes, definitely. And if you mix it with the wood chips, the mycelium, because the way they grow mushroom is they make the sterile environment, because they usually get some kind of peat moss, or they'll get something that they will sterilize, and that's the mushroom, and then mycelium injected with the mycelium for the mushrooms, and it grows, and then when they harvest the mushrooms, they leave behind. They have this mycelium and this really rich compost that they can't really use again to grow again. They have to get rid of it or try to recycle it. I don't know why they can't just reheat it up again or do something again, sterilizing.
They can sometimes get a second flush off of a mushroom block, but it's never as much as the first time. A lot of it has to deal with the substrate already being used up, like if you're using straw, etc. But remember, if you're using mushroom blocks, guys, break them up, because like I know that Leighton was talking, can be a major problem if they get too much water. They can cause real problems. So you want to definitely break them up and get the air into them.
So here where I live, there was a place called the Magic Mushroom Company.
Okay.
It wasn't a psilocybin. They sell these organic white mushrooms. And when I got here in '84, I would drive over there, get bags of it, and I would drive over there, load up my pickup, and then I would drive there, and I'd say, well, can I buy 10 yards worth? So I would get like 15, 20 yards that was delivered to me, and then that would be the basis of making my compost. If I would, people want me to go back to making compost, and one of the things I would really, really want to figure out is how to get a hold of some more mushroom compost. I found a company that sells mushroom compost in bags. I just got to get the secret out of them where I can get truckloads of it, because the mushroom compost already has the mycelium in it already. So all you really have to do is add other products to it. So I would get I would get ursulin castings, for example, a truckload of ursulin castings added to the mushroom compost. You talk about amazingly rich stuff. Yeah. One of the things about mushroom compost is that the pH is a little on the high side. It's a little alkaline. So it's not neutral. It's like 7.4 or something like that, 7 6. Little high, so you have to dilute it with your local soil. Whereas
Yeah.
if you use earthworm castings, which is another great source of minerals, and one of the reasons why it's a really good source is because it's acidic. It's on the acid side, which is
Yeah.
which makes the minerals available, because the microbes live on the acid side that you want to eat that minerals.
Mhm.
So, but adding the two together, the mushroom compost and the earthworm castings, you get this really slightly acid product,
Mhm.
right? Rich in minerals. And then of course, I'm crazy. I add more minerals to it because I would add the C90 to it, for example, or at least 2 or 3 other sources of rock dust.
Mhm.
Because the
Now, are
earthworm
you putting that in your compost or in your worm bin or in both?
No, I don't put any rock dust in the worm bin. I
Okay.
found that's too strong to do. The only time I could do that would be like very, very fine, little fine powder that you find you get. If you did it more than once, you're putting too much into the mix, right?
Out of
So
balance again.
yeah. So I find it very difficult to add something so highly alkaline to the worm farm because it really screws up their pH really fast, very fast. And it's very difficult to only sprinkle something like a teaspoon in maybe once in a blue moon. You usually end up adding more of this stuff than you really need. So you
Yeah,
want
so
to
put
do
it in
that.
your compost and then compost it, let the biology break it down, then give it to the worms.
Right, exactly. So what you want to do is you want to break it down, let the biology of the compost break it down, and then after it's already cooked and everything, quite not quite to the end, and then you give that a little bit to your worm. Too much will be also bad too, but you want to give them a little bit because they will digest that. They're not going to be very good at, and without affecting them, without causing them to the pH to go wrong or give them too toxic, because if you
Yeah.
give them too much of a trace minerals, they'll die from that. From that, but so that's the ideal way. So when you're doing the worm farm, you're really doing two separate things. You're not doing compost. As vermiculture is very different than
Yeah.
than doing like a worm farm. You're doing the worm farm mainly for the leaching. You're feeding the worms. Vermiculture, you have it set up so you're actually feeding the worms. Right. Even then, I don't think you're giving. I could be wrong, but in vermiculture, you tend to feed the worms with things that have the minerals in them rather than have rock dust feeding the worms. I may be
Yeah.
wrong, but you don't feed the worms rock dust. You feed the worms.
No, you're putting it into the compost and then you're feeding the worms the compost.
Right, or you're feeding them something that already has the minerals in it that the worms can digest.
Yeah.
See, so it's the same thing that's going on here with me in terms of my worm farm. I basically I'm doing vermiculture is what it is. Really, that's all it is. Growing worms. Which, by the way, I like the African red wiggers, African night crawlers. African night crawlers are the best on the market for this particular way. You want to get more lychee out of it, they will produce a lot.
Are you crushing the eggshells? It takes a long time for it to break down in your worm bin. If you powder them and grind them into a flour, it's a lot better to get it into your worms.
Since I feed my worms crushed eggshells, he knows he crushed it. See, he crushed it. What I do is I get the eggs, the eggshells. I have a little piston and motor. I grind it up until it's just a smaller. It's it's just not so much a powder, but it's a lot smaller. Crush, and then I can feed that to the worms.
Mm-hmm.
The worms will eat that. No problem at all, because there's nothing heavy or intense about it. Unless, of course, you overdo it. When you're feeding the worms, you can always give them too much of any good thing.
Yeah, and that's why when you feed your worms, you're supposed to wait, observe, and then once the feed is gone, then you feed again. If you're overfeeding, you're going to kill your worms.
Right. Right now, I have everything on hold because I gave them some coffee, organic coffee. I gave them some lettuce. They love lettuce, and I gave them an apple, part of an apple, and I gave them I also a banana, a nice organic banana. And a small food processor is what I used to do when I was in Florida in the kitchen. I would just run everything, turn it into a liquid form, and then I could pour that either into the ground or into my compost production. And actually, the worms would love that too. What is this saprophytic fungi?
Saprophytic fungi.
What's saprophytic fungi? Is that like a Puerto Rican fungi?
No, it's just a different a term for a strain of fungi that exists as a saprophytic fungi.
I see. There's so many of them. I didn't even try to get the names down.
I don't even try. I leave that to the scientists, Andy. And I just I've always been taking the overview approach. That's how I figured things out, is by taking that overview.
I can't even begin to try to figure out. Well, the closest thing I come to is to try to get a blend of everything. That's the closest thing I come to. Is just get a blend of everything, and you'll find out if it works really well together or not. And a lot of times you'll find out if the plants don't look right, or you're missing something, it's not right. And that's why using a refractometer is very helpful, so you can see. Usually, you can tell what's going on with your minerals, because and that's one of the things about in soil biology. You want to always have mineral sources. You want to be supplying mineral sources on a regular basis. So that's why you learn how to make rock dust tea. You learn how to use the C90, other sources, and you'll find one of the things I found is very interesting, and maybe costs more. But I buy mineral sources for people, and I use them. Ectofungi, yes. So I get endo and ecto, both ectofungi. I use that for on my spraying mixtures, because you can't really and they do well together, but they have different functions, and you can add different times a year. They're more effective than other times a year. I found. So
and that's one thing. Like I've been working with Josh from BioAg, and they have the mycorrhizae mycorrhizae fungi, and they have the ecto and the endo, and they also have different strains, so that depending on what part of the country and what environment, whether it's a wet environment, a dry, cold, hot, they have the mycorrhizae fungi. That it will exist in those conditions in their mix.
That's one of the things you have to learn, is to use what will work for your area. When you're buying stuff, you sometimes have to call the company up and say, well, this is my environment. What do you think? And they'll say, oh, way too wet. Oh, way too dry. Oh, way too hot. Way too cold. So in those cases, sometimes you can get them to work on your property, but they're not as effective than in the right environment they should be in.
Yeah.
Ideal scenario is to look around for places that are doing really well. They look really good. They look really healthy. Get to know the people. What are you guys doing? Oh, you're making compost. You want to sell some of it to me? How about or even say, can I get some of your mycorrhizae? Can I get some of your microbes? Because you can just make a little basket, put it on their property. If you put it in the right way, and you come back within 2 weeks, you can be full of the mycorrhizae. You use the rice. Just put some rice in there, cover it up, put the leaves back on again, and you'll be surprised. And if it does fill up, then you take that, put that on your property. But then you also have to look at this property and say, whoa, they got tons of leaves. They got all this stuff that allows for biology. I have 0 leaves, so you have to change the environment. Otherwise, you'll never get the scenario fixed. And that's part of the basis. You can't. So with people in the desert, they have to do something very different than people in a more tropical rain environment. I have friends that lived in the deserts, lived over at Desert Hot Springs. You have to learn to keep the water below ground. So you have an entirely different scenario, because you do have the biology, but you're going to have to keep it away from the exposure to the harsh environment. That's going to kill them. I have a lot of friends not a lot, but friends that live inside a cave. So inside the cave, you can control the environment for the biology growth to do well too. It's just that in the desert, you have this extreme heat, and the normal biology that's found there are always found below ground, and that's not the kind of biology you want. You want to have a vegetable garden in the desert, right?
You got to put a lot of mulch down to create that environment for the biology to really exist healthy there.
And even then too, a friend of mine what he has to do now is he build a greenhouse, because the fruit trees couldn't survive in this desert. The fruit, the plums would be prunes, right? The tree, the fruit would shrink down to really, it couldn't survive in this desert. So he has them growing in a greenhouse, which allows more moisture to stay in the plant. So you can only limit yourself to what you can grow in your environment. But the key I found is if we talked about having a greenhouse once, and that's one of the things you do want to have with your growing environment. You'll find you'll be able to handle things more year round, and because you can always grow your food indoors in a greenhouse.
Yeah.
During the time of year that you can't do it outside, so it helps you to expand your area. As you put the two together, you have a very, very good system to keep the biology growing. So just remember, the water that's coming in has to be cleaned. You have to figure out a way to filter it. When I'm done with this, I'm going to put up a little link in the back for the water company filter that you can go to, because it's a lot cheaper than paying thousands and thousands of dollars for this type. I found a really cool filtration company. It's $1,900 as opposed to $10,000 to $20,000 for a whole.
Yeah,
property.
and that's for a whole yard.
That's for the whole property, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. It's very difficult to only. I have people say, "Well, I'm only having filtration for the garden." Well, yeah, look at the rest of your property, because they're not getting the clean water, and it's kind of tough. You have a tree in the clean water environment and a tree in a not healthy environment, and the tree in the clean water going. Yeah, that's off. I know. Geothermal greenhouse. Exactly. That is so cool. Yeah. Geothermal greenhouse. That's the way to do it. See, that's the way to do it. So if you have, like a Desert Hot Spring, they have these geothermal hot wells, hot salt baths and stuff over there. Then you have a greenhouse attached to that. It'll heat everything right up. Make sure you get plenty of light. You'd be surprised how the biology will start coming in. All you have to do is start adding biology on a regular basis. Try to change the environment a little bit as we go, and the biology will just take over. And
that's why you're putting all that different plant material in different buckets, letting it ferment to break the biology out of that plant material that exists in that plant, and adding it all over your property. And like why you went across to that little garden that you have that has all that mycelium, and you're taking that slowly and doing extracts and spreading all that biology out on your property.
Right. Well, what I'm going to do in the next couple of days, and I do it on a regular basis, excuse me, is to first, I got permission from the trees to take some of the little bit. All I'm going to do is take a little bit, put it in a big tea bag, in a little tea bag like a sock, let it sit in a couple of gallons of clean distilled water, and that will make me 10, 15, 20 gallons real easy of the biology. I'm buying a beer making machine. It basically takes 15 gallons and turns it into, you take 1 gallon of the biology, it turns it into 15 gallons of the biology. I'm going to be using that machine. And so the biology is going to be coming out from here.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about Layton's system is that he helps you set up biology. I don't know if he still does, but that's what he was doing when he got here. At people's property, he would set up a system that would generate the biology on the property. And ideally, you can take the biology from there and spray it to other parts of your property. That's the way it works. Spread it out. That's what I'm doing here. I'm creating biology. I'm not creating, but I'm using the biology here to use it, to do it. And pretty soon I'm going to set up a little compost system, which will be circulating the biology here. And then the compost that's coming out will be specifically for here, which is kind of, I would have to say, well, sorry, my compost only works here. Right? It doesn't work, but it tends to work. I think it will work in the same general area. We have the same kind of conditions that people across the street in other parts of Malibu, for example, maybe in other parts of the United States. You learn how to just look what other people are doing good and work with, have them help you use some of their biology for yours. The thing that's going on is your biology. You haven't been paying attention to your biology, whether it be in the soil or in your stomach.
Very few, Andy, have been paying attention to the biology. That's why I came up with it's all about the biology. But yet you've been doing this for 50 years. We're starting more though. Like I'm seeing a lot more people getting into the worm farming and vermicompost, etc. And it's expanding. It's running away with itself now.
You can't do that stuff and still be into the chemicals, the Roundups, and all the other. You simply cannot do any of that stuff. You kind of have to say, okay, I'm not going to do any cocaine. I am going to just go clean now, and I'm going to
Yeah.
just have some regular food and not do it, because that's pretty much it. You have to get rid of the urge to use the chemicals and go through the withdrawal. You have to go through withdrawal. The soil goes through withdrawals because the microbes are going, what the heck is going on here, right? But they will come back. The faster they'll come back, the faster that you're into it. Because if you're into the soil coming back, you will see the results. You'd be surprised at what's going on outside, because the biology is starting to take off. Because I'm making even when I was watering from the hose, I had the filter on the hose.
Yeah.
And I got to stop this toxic stuff going into. And you'd be surprised if you take a shower with it. You go, oh gee, So I'm going to give up the money soon and just get a whole property filter. Even though I'm renting, I can't stand it. The city water, you can look into it. There's no biology in the city water. There's nothing.
Yep. And that's how they want it. They have to have it. Everything.
There's absolutely nothing in it. So, guys, we'll be here next week. By the way, we're doing you're going to be on as a guest.
Yeah, I get to be a guest on your show and your channel. Guys, I put up Andy's invisiblegardener.com. Okay, but you want to be on his YouTube channel. We're trying to get Andy not just doing an interview with me, but we want to get Andy, more views and more watch hours so he can start monetizing his channel. So come over instead of coming here, because it will be on this channel. Go to Andy's YouTube. And watch the Friday, and it's Friday night. It's the same time as normal. I'm going to be having Andy's going to interview me, but watch from his channel so he gets the watch hours.
Daddy needs a new Mercedes electric car.
Yeah, an electric. Yes.
Yeah. So see you guys Friday, same time, same place, same station. Just look for me on my website. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, peace out, guys. We'll see you on Friday.